There's really no other way to put it. On night one of the 2023 NFL Draft, remember this night as the night that Howie Roseman was in his bag. Philadelphia Eagles coming away, night one of the draft with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. And all they had to do was move up from 10 to 9 to get Jalen Carter, and they stayed put at number 30 to take Nolan Smith, who I had going to the Eagles at pick number 10. It's Philadelphia Eagles now. We're reacting to it live here on the show, and it's all presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products below the waist, because nobody wants a George W. Bush, and also with their beard products if you head to manscaped.com/chat. Promo code chat. So what a fascinating night it's been for Philadelphia. It's very rare for a team that makes it to the Super Bowl to have 2 first-round picks and also draft inside the top 10 and also at number 30. And the Philadelphia Eagles come away with Jalen Carter, who's arguably the best player in this draft class at number 9, and Nolan Smith, who a lot of people thought was one of the more talented edge rushers in this class, and they get him with a great value pick at number 30 overall. With Nolan Smith, a couple of injury concerns with him. He hurt his pec last year, missed a lot of time, and there was a lack of college production. But you're looking at an Eagles team here, folks, that when you look at the Georgia Bulldogs, and you might as well deem the Eagles as the Philadelphia Bulldogs or Georgia of the North, the Georgia Bulldogs the last 2 years have had 2 of the best defenses in the history of college football. And now Philadelphia, led by their fearless and wise, smart, genius general manager in Howie Roseman, has 4 players from these 2 defenses that are considered to be 2 of the best of all time. You get Jordan Davis last year. You get Nakobe Dean. And this year, you run it back. You get Jalen Carter, and you get Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith will remind a lot of people with his frame, which is a little bit slender, but his quickness off the snap and burst at the line of scrimmage of Hassan Reddick. And the Eagles going into this draft, they had a need at defensive tackle, losing Javon Hargrave. They addressed it with Jalen Carter. They had a need at edge rusher with Nolan Smith because the average age of Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, and Hassan Reddick come September, the start of the regular season, 29 years, 7 months. And now they get a young player and young asset in Nolan Smith, who is coming off that pec injury. A lot of people expect him to be ready for week 1. But if he ends up hitting, and Jalen Carter ends up hitting, what a draft haul for Howie Roseman. Grades coming up at the end of the show. But for Nolan Smith, worrisome lack of production, if we can get back to that there, Trizzy. The injury concerns are obviously somewhat worrisome as well, but freaky athleticism coming off the edge at a position of great importance in today's pass-happy NFL. His stock rose due to crazy athletic testing at his size, which we'll uncover on today's show, and a good athlete with burst and improved hand usage over the years. A run stopper and pass rusher with room for growth at both of those elements. So with Nolan Smith, I don't know how much he's going to play year 1, but you're not sure how Derek Barnett is going to fare coming off that torn ACL. You brought back Brandon Graham on that 1-year contract, but he had 11 sacks at 34 years old. You needed to replenish your edge rusher spot. And Nolan Smith has a very similar skill set and body type to Hassan Reddick. What better player to learn from than Hassan Reddick? Grade the pick. We're only getting started. We want to hear from all of you. Down in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F, Nolan Smith to the Eagles. Everybody had Nolan Smith going top 10, top 15. The Eagles get him at 30th overall. We're going to break down the player a little bit more here. Nolan Smith last year, limited action because of that pectoral injury. 18 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 0 forced fumbles. So, of course, that is a little bit of a concern for Nolan Smith. As for his scouting breakdown, according to our database, the Athletic's Dane Brugler, here's what Brugler had to say. Smith must improve his pass rush plan and overall efficiency, but he is an explosive, flexible athlete with powerful hands and above-average football character. He has the diverse tools to be a well-rounded edge rusher, ideally suited for a 3-4 base scheme. Now, what the Eagles are going to run here is a little bit of a hybrid scheme. It's going to be a 3-4-4-3 hybrid under new defensive coordinator Sean Desai because he is a Vic Fangio disciple. Vic Fangio has his fingerprints all across the NFL with his 3-4 scheme. But last year, the Eagles under Jonathan Gannon ran kind of a 4-3, 3-4 hybrid, so Nolan Smith comes to Philadelphia as a very good scheme fit as well. More on the player here. 2019, 14 games played, 0 starts, 2.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. 2020, 2.5 sacks. 2021, 3.5 sacks. 2022, 3 sacks. So you have the concerns about the lack of production, but the athletic testing numbers were crazy. At 6'2", 238 pounds at the NFL Scouting Combine, he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. 20-yard split, 2.51. 10-yard split, 1.47. A vertical jump of 41.5. This guy is an athletic freak and an athletic specimen. Please make sure you subscribe to the show. We're on the road to 44,000 subscribers, which we surpassed actually tonight. So now we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers for year-round Eagles coverage, Eagles analysis, news, rumors, live shows, watch parties, and more. Please subscribe and lock us in. It's Fly Eagles Fly. It's Go Birds all day, every day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned off the top of the show, and keep in mind we're only getting started. Hope you hang out with us here. Draft grades coming up. Today's show is presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products by heading to manscaped.com/chat. Couple of products that we want to tell you about here. And with the NFL draft underway, the most exciting prospect is the prospect of being perfectly groomed head to toe with our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped has long had elite downfield play with their Lawnmower 4.0, but in 2023, they have the rookie sensation beard hedger to ensure the face of your franchise is a pretty one. This 1-2 punch of men's grooming is the best acquisition for any at-home general manager. So head to manscaped.com/chat. Save some salary cap space like Howie Roseman with the promo code CHAT for 20% off and free shipping. This year, Manscaped can help you make the sexy pick without forgetting about your big uglies up front. That's right, the Beard Hedger and Lawnmower 4.0, a franchise-changing combo like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith that will have you looking at your roster with pride. Everyone who saw the Super Bowl knows what can happen with poorly managed grass. Eagles fans know too much about that. That type of ball-playing field quality, it would never happen with the Lawnmower 4.0. You've done the dirty work. Now it's time to make sure you look good out there with the Beard Hedger and its 20 positions of precision. And you can go from looking like Matt Patricia, who's on this Eagles staff, to Nick Sirianni with the Beard Hedger and the Lawnmower 4.0. Manscaped.com/chat, promo code CHAT, 20% off and free shipping. So the Eagles selections here, night one of the NFL draft. It's Jalen Carter at number 9 overall. I love the value of that deal and of that pick because a lot of people thought that Jalen Carter was the number 1 overall player in this class if it wasn't for some of the character concerns that came out after the legal situation with the Georgia Bulldogs. And then with Nolan Smith, it's the lack of production and it's the pec injury that are of concern for me, right? But when you look at him from an athletic profile, and I hate overvaluing prospects from that standpoint because I don't just want to look at a guy who's at the NFL Combine in some tights, and if he runs a good 40-yard dash, I don't want to say, look, you should draft him in the first round just because of that. But Nolan Smith, out of high school, was maybe the most highly touted prospect coming out of the high school rankings. And then at Georgia, he did play pretty well and was disruptive, but the Eagles have done a great job of developing defensive linemen over time. And given his similarities to Hassan Reddick, can you mold him into the next Hassan Reddick, who's a cost-controlled player over the next 4 to 5 years? Him and Jalen Carter, cost-controlled players over the next 4 to 5 years. So with the Eagles' offseason profile, heading into the draft, they had needs at running back, offensive guard, edge, and defensive tackle. The latter two, you can cross those off. Defensive tackle, they get it with Jalen Carter, who, by the way, can play every single position along the defensive line. And you also notch that off with Nolan Smith at edge. The Eagles have the best offensive line coach in the NFL in Jeff Stoutland. So you can draft an offensive guard, an offensive tackle in the third round, second round, and you can develop that player into a very good player. Cam Jurgens is going to slide in for Isaac Seumalo to be your right guard. So now you have an offensive line that was the best in the NFL last year. That's going to be really good this year. Mailata left tackle, Landon Dickerson left guard, Jason Kelce center, Cam Jurgens right guard, and then Lane Johnson right tackle. And then once Jason Kelce retires, you move Cam Jurgens from right guard to center, and then maybe you draft that right guard in this draft or in the future draft. And what the Eagles have been able to do throughout this offseason, they still have a roster that is equipped, that is capable of competing for a Super Bowl once again. And they may have lost two of their starting safeties, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Marcus Epps, two starting backers, Kaiser White, T.J. Edwards, a starting guard, Isaac Seumalo, running back, and Miles Sanders. But they're replenishing some of that talent on defense with Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I believe because of the defense that they played and the complexities of that Georgia scheme. By the way, they did interview Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, for the defensive coordinator job before it went to Sean Desai. Those players, given the complexities of that scheme, are going to be able to play in year one. And then you're going to be able to find a guard at some point in this draft if you don't believe Cam Jurgens is that guy, which I do believe he is that guy, and a running back, you're pretty much set right now. You have Kenneth Gainwell, who you really like. Unfortunately, they couldn't get Bijan Robinson. You have Rashad Penny. You have Boston Scott. So Mel Kiper has the Philadelphia Eagles as round one winners, and I have the Eagles as round one winners as well. So now the Eagles equipped with some picks here on day two. Who will the Eagles draft in round two? I want you to let me know down in the comment section down below. It's the Eagles really getting some good value picks here, night one of the NFL draft. And now it's time for my grades here for what the Eagles and Howie Roseman were able to pull off after the night one has wrapped up officially with round one in the books. Jalen Carter. My grade for Jalen Carter is an A. And why am I going with Jalen Carter as an A grade? Before the crash happened and the legal situation was made known at the NFL Scouting Combine, a lot of teams viewed Jalen Carter as a generational talent. They looked at Jalen Carter as a franchise-changing building block, a guy who could have been selected number one in the NFL draft. You have a locker room now that has all these Georgia Bulldogs that can replicate the environment at Georgia with a very stable culture, on top of having veterans like Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, a leader like Jalen Hurts. He now is acclimated with Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, both going to be starters this year, and Nolan Smith. And you get a player at number 9 who could have gone at number 1 in the NFL draft. Not only is that excellent value, to move up from 10 to 9, it cost you a 4th round pick in 2024. He could play every single position along that defensive line, and he can be a pillar for your franchise over the next decade. He was so emotional when he got selected. That tells me that this dude is absolutely hungry. So I'm going A grade given the value there of arguably getting the most impactful player in this draft class at number 9. A grade. Nolan Smith. Everybody thought that he was going to go top 10. Now there could be some red flags. Jalen Carter, character concerns. Nolan Smith, injury concerns with Nolan Smith. But everybody has him going top 10. He slides and drops all the way to number 30, and you're able to get great value there. These are 2 players who can play right away for a team that still has Super Bowl aspirations. And again, let me re-emphasize this. How rare is it for a team that makes it to the Super Bowl to pick at number 9 and at number 30 to have an opportunity to fulfill positions of need at 2 preeminent positions on a football team, two positions that are building blocks for your organization, defensive tackle, edge rusher. And we know that the Eagles love to build inside out. Very, very rare for that to be the case, and the Eagles able to knock it out of the park with both of these picks. Nolan Smith to the Eagles at 30, Jalen Carter to the Eagles at number 9. Grade the Eagles day one draft. I'm going A because I thought both picks were an A grade. A, B, C, D, or F. Share your thoughts down below in the comment section. I always appreciate your football intellect because I know Eagles fans are the smartest fans among all 32 teams in the NFL. It's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Please make sure you subscribe to the show. We're going to be live for day 2 as well. Subscribe and join us.